Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
It was fearless. I would have never thought that this could happen to her. And it just does go to show it can happen to anyone.
And that is why 19-year-old Erin Castro's family was stunned to know she'd been in an abusive relationship. She was tragically killed, allegedly, by her boyfriend.
And now, a year and a half later, her mother tells Courtney Friedman how she has dedicated her life to preventing this from happening to other families. It's part of Courtney Friedman's series, Confronting Domestic Violence, Loving in Fear.
She cared so much about other people. She had a lot of compassion. She had a strength about her that I admired so much.
Rena Castro now smiles when she talks about her daughter, Erin. She's worked hard over the past year and a half to allow herself that happiness. Hours after her 19th birthday, Erin Castro was in a car with her on and off boyfriend, Joshua Garcia, when police say Garcia stabbed her, pushed her out of the car, and ran her over. It's a terrifying image any family would try to forget. But Rena's love for her daughter makes her push past that.
I needed to find a positive, and helping others has been a positive.
At least twice a month, she visits high schools talking to students about teen dating violence.
They're so interested. They want to know more. Sometimes they don't like what I have to say, because getting an adult involved is number one.
She says education for parents is just as crucial.
I wish I had known things that I know now.
Knowing the red flags and that abuse is not just physical. Look for verbal abuse, threats, incessant calling, constant accusations of cheating, degrading and negative comments. Also look for emotional abuse, isolation from family and friends, intense jealousy and rage, body shaming, and taking personal items. In addition to education, Rena has started the Justice for Erin Foundation, its first fundraiser this Saturday. The proceeds going to a scholarship fund for any student who's been affected by domestic violence.
That was Courtney Friedman reporting. Again, the Justice for Erin Foundation's first ever fundraiser is this Saturday. The walk and run starts at 8 a.m. at Woodlawn Park, followed by speakers, music, food, and raffles. And the event is open to everyone. Meanwhile, February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, and KSAT is teaming up with our community partners for a PSA campaign contest to advocate against teen dating violence. The winning entry will receive $500 cash and a class party. You can find all the information right now on KSAT.com. And if you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic violence, we have a list of resources on our website, KSAT.com/domestic violence.
To the latest now on a standoff today on the northwest side. A 29-year-old man who barricaded himself inside a home after setting a neighbor's vehicle and his own home on fire was found dead inside that home. Police say he held himself up at a house on Litchfield off of Stonehaven. Police say throughout the night the man had been arguing with his neighbors, breaking windows on his neighbor's car, and eventually setting the neighbor's car on fire. That's it right there. That's when he barricaded himself inside the house.
At one point, he threw a Molotov cocktail out the balcony at police officers. And at that point, we declared a barricade suspect. SWAT got to the scene. At some point thereafter, he set his upstairs on fire.
Police say the suspect lived in that house with his parents. His parents were not home at the time. At one point, he was seen by police armed with a rifle. Right now, it's not clear exactly how that suspect died.
We are still digging into the results of the Bear Facts poll, an entirely local poll in partnership with KSAT and the Rivard Report. Crime was among the top concerns for those who responded. Devin Clark spoke to some of those who weighed in and San Antonio police about this problem and possible ways to reduce crime and keep you safe.
We average over 1 million calls for service in the city of San Antonio every year.
San Antonio Public Information Officer Doug Green says his department gets calls for everything, ranging from cats walking in neighbors' yards to rape and murder. Buddy Mallet has had to make a few calls to the cops himself.
And they broke into my car, they've broken into my home, they've broken into just about everything.
In some cases, Green says calls for nonviolent crimes like burglary could be avoided. But it takes the victim being proactive.
At least make the criminal work for it.
Preventing a home invasion could be as simple as installing surveillance cameras and locking your door. Car burglaries can also be prevented by keeping your car doors locked. and keeping your valuables out of plain sight.
And another thing is that we're seeing people that are leaving their keys and their key fobs inside of their vehicles, whether it be in the center console, in the glove box, and they're also making themselves an easy target.
Green says no matter how serious the crime, police will always respond to every call. However, less serious calls reduce the amount of law enforcement available for heinous crimes, like aggravated assault and aggravated robbery, which Carl Wenzel says happened to the convenience store clerk at his local gas station a few years back.
But this man was beat about the head horribly. He was in the hospital for 5-6 months, had 3 major brain surgeries.
Reasons why Green says they need all the help they can get.
If you can reduce your chances of becoming a victim of a car burglary and a car theft, you're also helping your police department as well.
Devin Clark, KSAT 12 News.
Other top stories we're following today: a driver dead after a rollover crash on the northwest side. Police say 21-year-old Abdullah Al-Ghurabi was driving on Camp Bullis near Babcock when he lost control. It's about 11 o'clock last night. Police say the driver hit a tree and went airborne before crashing into a van in the Lutheran High School parking lot. Police say witnesses helped pull the man out of the car, but when EMS arrived, he was pronounced dead at the scene. No other injuries were reported.
A former house parent at a local foster home has been accused of sexually assaulting a child there. 40-year-old Pablo Briones Jr. is charged with aggravated sexual assault of a child. Police say he was a house parent at Boysville back in 2015. Investigators say a girl who was 9 years old at the time told them that the suspect took her into an office and sexually assaulted her. Police began investigating after they were contacted by Child Protective Services last month. That's when CPS says the girl came forward.
The search continuing for this person who police believe robbed a Southside convenience store at gunpoint. The suspect seen at the Yan food store in the 5200 block of Flores Street back on December 29th. Police said the suspect got mad after the clerk was unable to open the cash register and fired several shots at the front door. He then drove off in a gray four-door Ford Taurus. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers at 210-224-STOP.
Time saver traffic now. Let's take a look at the TransGuide camera here at I-10 and Loop 1604. You can see some backup in this at this interchange, which is always busy, especially this time of day. But those roads still slick out there, so that could be contributing to some of the slowdown. Meantime, a look outside with live cam. It has been gray all day, and a lot of areas just seeing some spits of drizzle at them. It hasn't been a whole lot for some folks.
Nuisance rain.
Nuisance rain. That's the thing. You know, if we're going to be cloudy and dreary and damp, might as well have something to show for it. But you can see even here on the radar screen, not much happening out there. Just low clouds in place right now. And that's put us at 50 degrees. We had a high temperature of 53. That was at 2 a.m. Otherwise, we've been cooler than that. North wind at 10 miles per hour. Wind, not a big deal this evening, but it will be tomorrow. I'll be back to talk about that and much more coming up in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Adam. At 24 years of age, Ray Saldana was the youngest person elected to the San Antonio City Council. He represented District 4. Now Saldana is heading to Washington, D.C. He's going to become president and CEO for the same national nonprofit that helped him when he was a student at South San High School. Jesse DeGriato says he credits communities and schools for showing him that a first-generation American and the first to graduate from high school could earn a full scholarship and a master's degree from Stanford University.
The ninth grader with a serious look at 15 had a quote in the yearbook that spoke to his competitive spirit as a baseball player. Even so,
I was, a kid struggling to see his future at South San High School.
But like the student walking alongside Ray Saldana, communities and schools became his lifeline, his way forward. Like many others growing up below the poverty line in a low-income South Side neighborhood, Saldana hesitated even mentioning his dreams of a higher education.
You're afraid of what the reaction's going to be, that somebody's going to either laugh or roll their eyes or say, you're kidding yourself. Mrs. Bell!
But not his site coordinators with communities and schools, who he says saw his potential.
The thing about potential is you don't know you have it until someone says that you do.
Saldana says its secret of success is the holistic approach that communities and schools takes in helping its students beyond the classroom.
We know there's a lot that happens outside of those hours with young people. We're dealing with poverty and the effects of it more so today, unfortunately, in some of these communities than we ever have.
Helping to keep that and more from disrupting their dreams for the future, he says, is why communities and schools is in hard-to-serve neighborhoods and schools. Saldaña is said to be proof of what it can do.
It's a great honor to get to pay it forward to support them in their work.
Jessie Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
Paying it forward. Saldaña officially takes the helm at communities and schools in mid-March. We have more about communities and schools and more of Saldaña's bio on our website, ksat.com.
The official poster winners for the 39th annual Tejano Conjunto Festival here in San Antonio were revealed today. Those winners announced by the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center, which puts on that festival. In addition to the overall winner, there were 4 major categories, including middle school, high school, college, and open. Those categories allow students and younger people to explore conjunto music, some for the very first time.
We have a lot of participation from the schools. We have some very involved teachers that teach their students what conjunto music is about, what the culture is about, and then they have them paint, an entry to enter into it. So this is actually a really important educational component for students and young people.
The overall prize this year went to Gloria Chavera, who also goes home with $1,500. Her poster will be used as the primary marketing image for the festival, which takes place May 13th through the 17th.
One of the Americans evacuated from a cruise ship in Japan has tested positive for coronavirus while in quarantine here in the U.S. Coming up, the latest on this growing crisis.
Plus, a pacemaker for your bladder. How new technology is helping those suffering from an issue that's often hard to talk about. It is a problem nobody wants to talk about, suffering in silence and embarrassment. Of the 25 million Americans living with incontinence, 80% are women. Ursula Perry reports a pacemaker for the bladder may be the answer.
It is a sweet treat today for Melissa Dermanwell.
Excuse me, can I get a couple of the truffles?
It's so sweet because days like these were few and far between.
I couldn't go 20 minutes without having to go to the bathroom.
Melissa suffered for 12 years with overactive bladder.
It starts to go, there's no stopping mechanism.
For people like Melissa, their brains and their bladders didn't talk with each other correctly.
It becomes too cumbersome to deal with.
Melissa was the first person in the entire United States to receive the new Axtronics sacral neuromodulator, a remote-controlled pacemaker for the bladder.
Basically, we're reprogramming the nerve to the bladder.
The neurostimulator is surgically implanted in the lower back, near the third sacral nerve root. A small lead wire delivers electrical impulses to the nerves that regulate bladder control.
Our bladder can store our urine or hold our urine longer, and that we're not having these involuntary contractions of the bladder that are unwanted.
In previous devices, patients would need a new surgery to replace the stimulator every 4 years when the batteries died. Now, the new stimulator lasts 15 years and can be charged just by wearing this charger over the area the device was implanted.
There's nothing better than to see a bathroom and just have to walk by and not have to go.
Sacral neuromodulation is the only FDA-approved treatment that takes care of both fecal and urinary issues in a single solution. Right now, though, it's only being used in those patients that don't respond to traditional methods. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
All right, just kind of gray all day, just a dreary one.
Yeah, not much to show for the gray and a little bit of dampness we had. It was one of those days where every once in a while you'd be driving, you see some wet roadways.
Yeah.
You maybe need your windshield wipers periodically, but not all day. And
yeah, the on again, off again.
You can't get the right, you can't get it just right. Well, we all know that feeling. And, there isn't a lot in terms of rainfall out there right now, and I don't think the rain and really moisture is going to be the headline here. The wind is going to be the headline. So let's start with what we have on the radar screen, which really isn't all that much. All right, we talked about that. The sweet spot was Gonzales and even into parts of Guadalupe County. That's where we had some at least accumulating rain, and then parts of the northern hill country as well. All right, so looking at the radar, wide view. Doesn't show all that much. Looks like the sea breeze coming in near Victoria. But otherwise, here's a wider view, and the really good rainfall and moisture, this conveyor belt of moisture, was just to the north of us, basically between I-10 and I-20 throughout Texas. Even West Texas getting some little showers out there in dry West Texas, so that's good for them. This has been a good plume of rain for parts of the state, just not all that much for us. We just tapped into a little bit of that moisture. So going forward this evening, I think mainly just cloudy and a few sprinkles developing tonight. 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, spotty sprinkles, passing very light rain and some drizzles. So I anticipate some wet roads to start the day tomorrow. But then once we get to the noon hour, looks like mainly just low clouds and overall cool temperatures. But check this out. The sun's going to return by Friday. Even tomorrow night, we'll start to see the clearing from the north to the south. So that's going to be a nice little psychological boost as we get into Friday. The sun returns. Wind, not a big deal right now. It's out of the north, 10 miles per hour. You don't notice it much. Oh, that's going to change. So let's take a look at our futurecast. This is what we're predicting for the steady winds, okay? Not wind gusts, but just the sustained wind out there. At midnight, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Not a big deal. Then we get into about the 6, 7 a.m. hour. Approaching 10 miles per hour still, not all that noticeable, but once we roll through the morning, by 9, 10 a.m., we'll have steady winds between 15 and 20 miles per hour. So throughout the morning, the wind just cranks up and it really peaks as we get into the afternoon. So here's a look at the wind gusts that we're expecting. To start the morning, maybe about a 15 to 20 mile per hour gust, but once we get into the midday, noon hour through the afternoon, we'll be gusting probably around 34 miles per hour. So if you work outdoors and wind can be a factor, it will be tomorrow. You'll notice it, especially come 9, 10 a.m. and thereafter. Temperature-wise, we haven't seen a big difference all day, right? We were in the upper 40s this morning. Now we're at 50 degrees. 50 at Stinson, Pleasanton as well. Comfort's at 46, Canyon Lake 48. Not much of a temperature variation out there across South Texas and even the rest of the state. You just have a few exceptions. Del Rio at 60 and Cotulla, Carrizo Springs at 55. They're some of the warmer spots. But check this out. As we go through the evening, we'll just drop a degree or two. Tomorrow morning, 47. Look at this flat line of temperatures throughout the day. We rise a few degrees to 50 for the high temperature by the afternoon. We'll have some of those passing sprinkles, and you'll notice the gusty wind. So unseasonably cool, considering the average high is 67. So unseasonably cool tomorrow, despite the sun returning on Friday. We'll still be well below average for this time of year. Sunny and in the mid-50s. Saturday, we rise into the 60s, and I think we'll top out and really peak temperature-wise on Monday at 72, but no really good rain chances within the foreseeable future.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
All right, Spurs back at it today.
And DeMar DeRozan back at practice with the Spurs. He missed the last 2 games of the rodeo road trip with back spasms, and look at him. He's smiling, says he's feeling good, ready to go. Plus, Kevin Garnett says Tim Duncan was savage when it comes to trash talk. What he says is pretty darn funny. Coming up. After a week away from basketball, the Spurs held practice today to get ready to finish the rodeo road trip and for their final 28 games of the regular season. They last played on the 11th, beating the Thunder 114-106. Spurs are 23-31 and will need to get red hot to have any chance of making the postseason and to keep their incredible playoff streak alive, an NBA record-tying 22 consecutive seasons dating back to Tim Duncan's rookie campaign. After missing the final 2 games of the rodeo road trip with back spasms, DeMar DeRozan, the team's leading scorer, is back and ready to suit up.
Perfect. I'm back. No problems, no issues. I don't know, I just made like a wrong turn before the game or something and just back started spazzing up, just, from whatever. But last couple days, even today, I felt great. Felt the best physically I done felt all season.
Jazz will host the Spurs Friday night at 8. Utah's 4th in the West. Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett are two of the best power forwards ever and had their fair share of battles on the court. KG was very loud and known for his trash talking just as much as his game between the lines, while Tim was a quiet, laid-back superstar who didn't say much. During NBA All-Star Weekend, while taping All the Smoke podcast for Showtime, KG revealed that Duncan was very good at talking smack, just in a different way.
The minute I'm not edge. Believe it or not, y'all, Tim Duncan, shout out to Timmy. Tim Duncan, people would not see him verbally saying stuff because he wasn't talking sentences. Timmy would hit you in phrases. Got you. Ooh, almost. This the worst right here. Nice try. What really me off was when the trash talking wasn't affecting him. So now you spending all this energy trying to rile this up. You forgot about your own game. You forgot about they coming to you that you're supposed to. And then that's when I actually quit talking trash to Timmy because he wouldn't respond or he wasn't giving me the reaction I was getting.
That is great. So Tim beat Garnett in trash talking and head-to-head on the court. They faced each other 52 times, with Tim going 33-19 overall, 6-2 in the playoffs. That's according to landofbasketball.com. Turning to women's college basketball, number 2 Baylor beat Texas Tech last night 77-62. In the process, Lady Bears floor boss Kim Mulkey became the fastest coach to reach 600 wins in Division I history, men or women. She beat Kentucky's legendary head coach Adolph Rupp by 4 games. She is now 600 and 100 in her 20th season at Baylor, but she isn't taking any of the credit.
It goes to these kids. That's why they're wearing the hats instead of me. Coaches are only as good as their players. That's the God's truth. I can drop every play in America. I can be the smartest coach in the world. But if you don't have players and they don't go out there and perform, you don't win basketball games. So those 600 victories coming as quick as it did, it's because of those kids.
Mulkey will go for win 601 Saturday at home against Oklahoma. Boys high school basketball last night, Somerset at Southwest. Bulldogs senior guard Marquis Soto beats the first quarter buzzer with a 65-foot bomb. Somerset led by 6 after 1. The Dragons never recovered as the Bulldogs go on to win 68-49 to clinch their berth in the 5A playoffs. Bulldogs take on Alamo Heights in the bi-district round Tuesday, February 25th at South Sound High School at 7 p.m. And I'll tell you what, that shot was nothing but net.
Did one of our photographers shoot that?
Actually, that was Maury Vasquez who sent that to us.
Maury helping us out. All right, good job. We'll be right back. San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg, Bexar County Commissioner Tommy Calvert joining other local officials in writing to government leaders asking that those being monitored for the coronavirus be kept in quarantine at Joint Base San Antonio Lackland.
That's after Texas state health officials said the Texas Center for Infectious Disease on the south side is being used for evacuees with either symptoms of the coronavirus or confirmed cases, though they would not say how many patients were being treated there.
And now we're learning of another American sickened. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez with the latest.
A new case of the COVID-19 coronavirus here in the U.S. One of the Americans evacuated from this cruise ship docked in Japan and flown to California to continue a mandatory quarantine, developing the virus, now being treated at a hospital near Travis Air Force Base. In Japan, other passengers on board that ship, where more than 620 cases of the virus were confirmed, are finally being released after 2 weeks of quarantine, but for now, still unable to return to the U.S. as the CDC announces a new travel restriction barring anyone who was on board from entering the country until they are symptom-free for another 14 days. In China, officials announcing the death toll from the virus now topping 2,000. Among the victims, the head doctor treating COVID-19 patients at a hospital near the outbreak's epicenter. While some Americans evacuated from Wuhan, China 2 weeks ago are now finally out of quarantine and reuniting with their families.
Lucky to get out of China. We're just very fortunate. We're free and clear. We're good.
Most of the more than 75,000 cases of COVID-19 have been in China. Officials there say the rate of new infections has slowed over the past 2 days.
Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
We are continuing to monitor the coronavirus here in San Antonio. We posted the letters our local officials have written and have shared several links to previous stories in an effort to best answer any questions you may have concerning the coronavirus. We also continue to ask local, state, federal government officials those same questions. You can head to ksat.com and look for this story.
More bad news for Boeing. The company says it found debris in the fuel tanks of several 737 MAX jets that have been sitting in storage. The company's vice president and general manager of the 737 program, Mark Jinks, sent a letter to Boeing employees about the foreign object debris known as FOD. FOD can pose significant safety threats on planes, including short circuits and fires. Jinks called the FOD absolutely unacceptable. Boeing says it will address the problem by updating instructions and required checklists for employees, along with more inspections and audits. The Boeing 737 MAX has been grounded since March 2019, following those two fatal crashes that killed 346 people.
If you have a Ring account, there are new privacy and security features to prevent hacking that you should be aware of. Amazon's home security rolled out a second layer of authentication yesterday. Users will now have to enter a one-time code shared through email or SMS when logging in to see their feed from their cameras. While Ring already offered two-factor authentication to customers, this second layer of verification is now mandatory. Ring says this added feature helps prevent unauthorized users from gaining access to your account, even if they have your username and password.
Now to a scam alert. The voicemail you think might have been left by a loved one may have been a big scam. The Better Business Bureau is warning scammers can now use new voice cloning software. The tech mimics voices from audio samples, and from there, scammers will actually create voicemail messages to convince you to send them money. The BBB says the scam may hit businesses first, but they don't expect it to stop there.
President Trump granting pardons or commuting the sentences of 11 people this week, including former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, a Democrat who appeared on the president's reality television show. He's now thanking the president for getting him released from prison years early. ABC's Trevor Ault with the latest.
Hi, Eva. How are you? Less than 24 hours after President Trump commuted his sentence, disgraced former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich now back home, released from federal prison in Colorado 8 years into his 14-year stay. The Democrat and one-time apprentice contestant thanking the president for his freedom.
No one has done more or is currently working to do more to fix this broken and racist criminal justice system than President Trump and Jared Kushner. I'm a Trumpocrat.
Blagojevich was convicted of trying to sell the former Senate seat of Barack Obama. But today, President Trump tweeting, Rod Blagojevich did not sell the Senate seat. He served 8 years in prison, with many remaining. He paid a big price. Blagojevich is one of 11 people to be pardoned or have their sentences commuted by the president this week. Former San Francisco 49ers owner Eddie DeBartolo Jr., who pleaded guilty to concealing an extortion plot in 1998, he co-hosted a pre-inauguration party before the president took office. He also received a pardon, as did former New York City Police Commissioner Bernie Kerik, convicted of tax fraud, who was appointed in New York under then-Mayor Rudy Giuliani, now the president's personal attorney. The president saying about his right to get involved in criminal cases even if they're ongoing.
I'm allowed to be totally involved. I'm actually, I guess, the chief law enforcement officer of the country.
The president said he made these decisions based upon recommendations from friends and advisors like Rudy Giuliani. He has not yet said if he will pardon his longtime friend Roger Stone, who gets sentenced later this week. Trevor Ault, ABC News, New York.
Coming up in the buzz, a pair of legendary comedians hitting the road this summer for a new tour. We've got details.
Plus, the Duchess of Cambridge giving one of her most revealing interviews to date. When and where you can read it, coming up. Time now to talk about what is coming up tonight on KSAT News at 9, which you can watch streaming Monday through Friday on the KSAT TV app or on our website. Students fighting for change in San Antonio ISD.
Yeah, they are very active in what is being called a Code of Conduct and Student Bill of Rights. You can see a number of students have called for changes. They want to talk to the school board itself and let their voices be heard. What do they want? Tiffany Huertas will tell us tonight at 9 o'clock.
That's right. We're also going to preview a big event coming up next week. The San Antonio Business Journal is creating a new mentoring event, all focused on female-run businesses and nonprofits. This is called a Mentoring Monday event. More than 40 high-achieving women leaders. I've seen the list. There's some big names on there. They'll be offering their experiences to help other women move up the corporate ladder. This is also referred to as kind of a speed networking event, if you will. So we're going to talk about the purpose of that and what to expect from that event.
A great opportunity for people out there. All right, also 210 Trailblazer. It's one of the normal things, one of the weekly things we have on the news at 9 about a local man who created an app that's improved the look of San Antonio by allowing people to report problems like potholes or code issues. You know, you can call 311 and get some of those city services taken care of. He's created the app.
It's helped a lot of people in San Antonio, got a lot of issues to the city's attention. So we're going to talk to him about why he saw the need for that and how that has really propelled him since. All coming up tonight at 9.
Meanwhile, we want the 411 on what's going on. Is that even still a thing? It is, right? Information 411. Am I dating myself? All right, we want the 411 on the weather.
Yeah, we're keeping it a thing.
Okay, good.
Yeah, take that, youngsters. Here's the 411 on your forecast. Temperature's not changing much the rest of the evening, so just remaining around 50 degrees. And the wind becomes the headline tomorrow. You'll really notice the gusty winds. All right, we'll be back to talk about that and let you know when the sun returns. Coming right up.
All right, check this out. Some thrill seekers who dream of flying to space and have deep pockets may actually have a shot at achieving that dream next year. SpaceX signing a deal that would send 4 people there aboard its Crew Dragon spacecraft. The passengers would have to squeeze into a spaceship just 13 feet across, but they would spend 5 days in space and go further away from Earth than any astronaut has in decades.
Wow. No official word on what the price tag would be, but a spokesman says it should be along the lines of previous space flights, which ran into the tens of millions of dollars. So we'll be staying grounded.
With you to the tens of millions of dollars.
Legendary comedians and longtime friends Steve Martin and Martin Short are hitting the road this summer. They recently announced the dates for their 2020 tour called The Funniest Show in Town at the Moment.
Yeah, the 15-date tour starts in July in Irvine, California, ends in September in Atlanta. Some of the dates include Steve Martin's bluegrass band, Steep Canyon Rangers, and former Late Show with David Letterman band leader Paul Schaefer, and other musical guests. I think the last time they played in San Antonio, Letterman even showed up.
It was at the Majestic.
Yeah. Tickets go on sale to the general public on February 21st.
Funny show. The Duchess of Cambridge is opening up about parenthood in a new cover story for People magazine. Kate Middleton also gave a long interview to the popular Happy Mum, Happy Baby podcast. It's the longest interview she's done since her engagement to Prince William nearly 10 years ago. Her focus is on the challenges of motherhood.
The royal mom talks about raising her 3 children, and she wants other parents to feel they're supported and not alone. The new issue of People magazine will be on newsstands nationwide on Friday.
If you thought that Bud Light Seltzer couldn't quite compete with White Claw and some of the other best-selling spiked seltzers, apparently you were wrong. Bud Light Seltzer just launched last month, and it's already the 3rd most popular hard seltzer in the country. It's made from cane sugar and natural fruit flavors. One can has 100 calories. And just 2 grams of carbs.
According to sales data from Nielsen released on Tuesday, White Claw is still the top-selling hard seltzer, followed by Truly. And if you're wondering how Natty Light Seltzer is doing, apparently great. Natural Light's hard seltzer that launched at the end of last year is 4th, right behind Bud Light Seltzer. Have you tried?
I did not even know that Natty Light had a seltzer.
Because of course
everybody is now.
Yeah. Have you tried one?
Yeah, I've tried a few.
Yeah, I've tried one.
Even small craft breweries, like local ones, are starting to get into that game.
Make their own.
Because it's very easy to brew or distill. It doesn't take as much effort as, say, beers and whatnot. That can be very complicated, and there's a big market for it.
I haven't had one
Apparently
yet.
so.
Yeah.
All right.
Not my cup of tea, but maybe for somebody else. Anyway.
Or seltzer.
Yeah. I like
your cup of seltzer.
Not my. I get it. Cup of seltzer. Took me a second. All right. It's going to be windy tomorrow. You're going to notice that. That's for sure. That'll be the headline tomorrow. And we're going to remain cool and rather cloudy. So take a look at this as we go through our main points here. Very windy on your Thursday. The sun returns on Friday. But despite sunshine being back in the game here, it's still going to be unseasonably cool. Right now we're at 50 degrees. Temperatures dropping maybe a couple of degrees through the night. That's about it. Just bouncing around a little bit near 50 and in the upper 40s. North wind at 10. That'll be changing tomorrow morning. Overall, we're right around 50 degrees, give or take. You get into the mid 50s farther south of town and then into the mid 40s in parts of the hill country. And then you look farther north in the state and no big temperature drop off. You have to head farther up the plains to see those temperatures really fall off where we're in the teens and even single digits. And I'm pointing that out because we will see a little push of cooler air coming in for tomorrow, and it's going to impact our Friday as well. So despite sunshine on Friday, it's not going to be all that much warmer. We'll go from around 50 degrees for the high tomorrow into the mid 50s by Friday. And then by Saturday, we'll start to rebound. Southerly wind kicks in, and we'll be back in the 60 degree range. But we don't get back to our average afternoon high until about Sunday. That's what we're expecting. And then we peak at 72 on Monday. And by the way, preliminarily speaking, looks like another decently strong cold front hitting us some point middle of next week. So the wind, let's talk about it. Not much of a breeze out there right now, but here's the future cast. So this is what we're predicting as we go through time. Tomorrow morning, say 5 a.m., about 10 miles per hour. Not a big deal. Then we get to 9, 10 a.m., and we've got steady winds between 15 and 20 miles per hour, and it continues to ramp up through the noon hour and into the afternoon. So there will probably be pockets of South Texas with sustained winds a little over 20 miles per hour. So we'll feel it. As for the gusts that we get in between the sustained winds, well, by 8 o'clock already gusting to around 20 miles per hour. Noon, 4 or 5 p.m., probably having wind gusts on the order of about 35 miles per hour. So if you have outdoor plans, activities, or if you work outdoors and the wind could be a factor, tomorrow's the day you want to plan for and prepare for. So typical overrunning situation. Cold front came in, cool air at the ground, warmer air above us, and the warmer air aloft riding up and over that cool dome of air, giving us the clouds. No good rain around here. All the good rain was farther to the north of us, especially even in East Texas, they had some good rain. Tomorrow morning, we'll start with some passing sprinkles. I think that's it. Drizzle, sprinkles, some damp roadways, but not all that much real moisture and accumulation. The wind ramps up, and it's going to be gusty and cool in the afternoon with a high temperature right around 50 degrees. That's about 18 degrees below average for this time of year. And will remain cloudy tomorrow. The sun returns on Friday. Despite that sunshine, only in the mid 50s. And then there's that rebound in temperatures. Unfortunately, I don't see a good chance of rain anytime soon. Maybe a few showers Sunday morning and again Monday morning. But overall, even with another cold front next week, it doesn't look like we have got very high hopes for much rainfall, at least as of now.
All right. Thanks, Adam. In case you missed it, coming up next.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, February 19th.
This morning, a group of burglars on the run. Or we understand this all started with the burglary of a bank ATM.
That's right. Police say that those burglars tried to yank or did yank the ATM right off its base at a bank here at Petranco near 1604. They say 3 people in a pickup used a chain to yank it off its foundation, then pried open the front with a crowbar.
A driver dies after a rollover crash on the northwest side, and this noon, police are releasing his name. San Antonio police say he is 21-year-old Abdullah Al-Durabi. Officers say the 20-year-old was driving on Camp Bullis near Babcock when he lost control or hit a tree, went airborne before crashing into a van in the Lutheran High School parking lot. When EMS arrived, He was pronounced dead at the scene. Jury in the New York sexual assault trial of Harvey Weinstein has yet to reach a verdict.
They deliberated for about 5 hours yesterday, and they're expected to return this morning. The former movie producer is charged with first-degree criminal sexual act, 2 counts of rape, and 2 counts of predatory sexual assault. Some of the charges are structured as either or counts, so Weinstein can only be convicted of 2 charges at most.
Man is dead after police say he set his neighbor's car on fire, barricaded himself inside a home, and threw a Molotov cocktail at police officers.
Police tell us, though, that he lived in this house with his parents. However, his parents were not home when all this happened.
Children's Hospital of San Antonio now has security robots. The newest members of the security team will be patrolling the grounds outside the hospital. The robots made their official debut this morning. They're equipped with cameras and can communicate with the rest of the security team.
We have a traffic alert to make you aware of before we go here. This is the northbound lanes of Highway 281. The camera's here at San Pedro, but it looks like this accident is right as drivers are exiting for Wurzbach Parkway there. You can see it's very slow going because of this tie-up.
Yeah, give you an idea what we're talking about. This is 281 San Pedro, the camera, Wurzbach Parkway exit, then the Bitters exit as you head north. So gives you an idea where we're looking at. But traffic certainly slowed, but not stopped by whatever accident's going on down there.
And we don't really have any rain to affect the roadways right now. Some sprinkles later tonight and first thing tomorrow. Otherwise, windy and cool on your Thursday, only near 50.
All right, thanks, Adam. And thanks for watching the news at 6.
See you on the Night Beat and online at 9.